The light of nature strikes harmony with gentle curves. Korea's traditional attire. From where does the beauty of hanbok come from? During the era of the Joseon dynasty, hanbok was everyday wear. But from a certain point, it became a garment only worn on special occasions. However, these days, more of Korea's youth have begun to sport hanbok, mesmerized by its beauty. Foreigners in hanbok are also not hard to come by.
I like to dance in it as well. It's very good to move around in. All of it is very special. It's nothing like I've ever worn ever before.
I feel good, great, exciting. I think it's different because it's unique that you come to a country and wear the original dress that the king and the people a long time ago used to wear.
Then what is the beauty of hanbok? Let's delve deeper into this subject, the beauty of hanbok. Hanbok represents the thoughts, customs, and spirit unique to Koreans. Hanbok basically consists of a top and bottom. It's different from Japan's kimono or China's qipao. Those two countries' traditional attire are formed as a one-piece with the top and bottom connected. Hanbok also has slightly different types according to the season and the wearer's gender and age. For men, the jogori or jacket and a pair of pants are the basic look. On top of that, a vest or overcoat, which is called durumagi, could be layered over. For women, a shorter jacket called jogori and a skirt called chima were worn below the durumagi or beja, which is a sleeveless vest. Also worn over the jogori and chima was the magoja, which is an outer jacket. This particular look is for one's wedding day. The men's wedding garment was originally a uniform for those in public office. But with marriage being the highlight of one's life, the garment was allowed for everyone to wear on one's wedding day, regardless of social status. The women's wedding gown was also an outfit originally worn by princesses of the Joseon royal court. Children's hanbok is much more colorful than the adults. In regular times, children wore the basic jacket and shirt like grown-ups. On holidays or birthdays, they jazzed it up with an extra special hanbok jacket with sleeves of multicolored stripes. Of the numerous kinds of hanbok for men and women, and for each season and different social class, women's hanbok is by far what people associate the most when they think of the beauty of hanbok. Then let's try to discover the source of hanbok's unique beauty from its female look in particular. Hanbok is believed to have been worn from the 3rd or 4th century BC. But it was from the Joseon period when hanbok began to increase in its variety, form, and color. When hanbok was first introduced, there was no clear difference between men and women. Women, like men, also wore pants instead of a skirt. But in the unified Shilla era, the skirt and jacket became the exclusive wear for women, and they further evolved in shape going into the Joseon era. The jacket grew shorter and tighter. The skirt came to accentuate a slim waistline, rounder hips, and the silhouette of the female body. it was a result of female aspirations to look more beautiful by adding individual character to the simple structure of hanbok.
그 끝이 아주 이쁘게 올라간 그런 선들이 19세기로 가면서 완벽하게 정착이 됩니다. 소매도 마찬가지입니다. 소매도 곡선화 현상이 19세기, 20세기 가면서 더욱 뚜렷하게 나타나고 이거는 아마 그 조선조 말서부터 근대로 오면서 우리가 한복의 아름다움을 곡선의 아름다움으로 이렇게 가치를 두는 그런 현상에서 비롯된 것이 아닌가.
Actress Lee Young-ae and singer Suzy are stunning in these hanbok photos. The images truly speak to the beauty of hanbok. Photographer An Ju-young, who captured the two women in his viewfinder, gave the most attention to the lines of the hanbok dress.
사람의 몸을 휘 감아주는 형식이죠. 그러니까 시작점 자체가 달라요. 그러니까 어떤 사람이 어떻게 입느냐에 따라서 다르고 움직임에 따라서 그 옷의 디자인이 변형이 되고 한복의 아름다움은 움직이면서 생기는 선들이나 아니면은 뭐 바람에 날리거나.
In hanbok, the straight and curvy lines come together in harmony. If we take a look at how it's made, the designs are first laid out on flat ground and the shapes are cut out. Since most lines are for the most part straight, there's nearly no leftover room in the blueprint. This reflects the wisdom of Korean ancestors who used cloth as sparingly as possible. The making of the jacket or jogori was like putting a puzzle together. Each piece was attached one after another. The sewing method was also slightly different depending on the location. Hanbok is double-layered. There is the lining and the exterior fabric. First, the shoulder lines are connected as they serve as the center of the upper body. Then sewing was done in a curvy fashion in consideration of the body type of the wearer. Sewing was a key element that determined the overall quality of the finished hanbok. Every stitch had to maintain consistent distance. The shoulders, outer collar, and sleeves are attached, and the sidelines connected. The remaining components are now the git, which is the neckband that goes around the neckline, the godam or coat strings used to close the jacket, and dongjang, which is the white collar placed over the end of the git. Every stitch required utmost care. The git of hanbok was like the collar in Western clothes. It gave a better form to the jacket and also protected the person's neck. The shape of the jacket changed considerably over different eras, but the collar git was always there.
처음에는 이게 목 주변에 때 묻는 것을 방지하기 위해서 아마 씻어졌을 거예요. 그런데 그게 이제 말기로 쭉쭉 내려오면서 하나의 그게 장식성하고 겸해지는 거죠. 그러니까 언제나 어떤 옷이든지 간에 마지막에 흰 거로 가지고 동정을 깔끔하게 달아놓으면은 시각적으로도 그렇고 그 옷의 마무리예요.
Hanbok was not only beautiful, but also practical. All women in those days were in the original sense hanbok fashion designers.
다른 인위적인 거 뭐 단추를 붙이거나 데코레이션 하는 게 아니에요. 그냥 만드는 바느질, 그 손놀림, 그 손을 움직이게 하는 마음이죠. 그 마음의 그 흐름을 따라서 나타나는 선으로 곡선을 표현한 거예요. 자기의 성품을 별로 거스르지 않고 자연스러운 마음을 따라갈 수 있게 그걸 표현해낼 수 있는 굉장히 좋은 방법이었어요. 그 바느질이라는 게.
The making of the chima, or skirt, which consists of a wide skirt and waist strings, also begins with a flat pattern of straight lines. For the skirt, a square cloth is wrapped around one's waist. To give more style to this extreme simplicity, pleats were added. Pleats emphasize a slimmer waistline and a pronounced hip line to create a more feminine body line. Finally, a hanbok outfit of a powder pink skirt and green jacket is completed. The two colors that at first didn't seem to match look amazingly well together. This natural harmony is one of the key attributes of hanbok. Straight, flat lines transformed into natural-looking, comfortable lines. It's said that a finished hanbok undergoes 1,000 touches of the human hand. The gently draping lines come together to produce hanbok's unique silhouette. The soft lines of hanbok neatly envelop the person's body. This affects the person's every movement and adds elegance and grace. This is the first element of the beauty of hanbok. There is one person who is enamored by the beauty of hanbok lines. Veteran actress Park Jung-soo says she enjoys wearing hanbok and is especially in love with its elegant lines.
선이 굉장히 단아해서 이걸 입으면 굉장히 이뻐요. 제가 한복선을 굉장히 좋아합니다, 사실은. 그래서 아마 입게 되는 것 같아요. 심플한데 심플한 데서 오는 그 부드러움, 온화함, 굉장히 고운 선이 있어요. 네.
This is the backstage of a hanbok fashion show. The works of distinguished hanbok fashion designer Lee Young-hee are showcased to the public to mark National Hanbok Day. Her beautiful dresses grace the autumn night. In step with the Korean wave or Hallyu phenomenon, designer Lee is promoting hanbok to the world. What does she believe is the beauty of hanbok?
한복 핵심 선하고 색깔이죠. 다른 양장에서는 투피스 같은 색이잖아요. 브라우스 하나 색 틀리고. 근데 우리는 그렇지 않아요. 치마하고 저고리하고 고름 다른 색, 깃도 다른 색이에요. 네 가지 색이 바뀌어도 조화를 이룰 수 있어요. 두 가지 색도 되고 한 가지 색도. 세 개 좋아하기 때문에 우리나라의 한복의 특징.
Yi was the first hanbok designer to put the Korean attire on the map in the French fashion industry. She confidently says that tradition plays a big part in any fashion that transcends borders and generations. While focusing on tradition, Yi says the unique colors of hanbok began to catch her attention. The colors serve to further highlight the soft lines of hanbok. Yi insists on using only natural dye for all of her hanbok colors. Thus, hanbok was born, and its creation owes a great deal to none other than the wind. The history of hanbok deeply relates to Korea's natural environment, including its 4 distinct seasons. There are over 50 dye plants grown in Korea that produce color. This is more than the variety of dye plants across the whole European continent. This is dried marigold, which blooms from spring to fall. When the flower petals are boiled, they produce a splendid yellow hue. All of nature, including grass, leaves, roots, and even stone dust, were ingredients for natural dye. To poor commoners, Mother Nature was a treasure trove accessible to anyone.
색감적인 차원에서 천연 색소, 자연 색소는 우리 인간들한테 주는 그런 정서적인 감성이 굉장히 큽니다. 화학 색소하고는 좀 다르게. 못 내는 색은 없죠. 단지 색으로서의 의미가 있는 것들이 오래 유지할 수 있는 것들이 과연 얼마나 되느냐, 이제 그걸 따지는 거죠.
We are here, led by the light of nature. Indigo blue was the most commonly used hanbok color in the Joseon era. Of all natural dye pigments, it's one of the longer lasting and also has exceptional antibacterial effects. Indigo grass is water soluble, and so when put in water, the color melts. A rock is placed on top to keep the plant submerged in water. It stays this way for 2 days.
한복더위에 아주 무더운 여름에 쪽이 잘 자라 있거든요. 입에는 이렇게 색소가 많이 머금고 있고.
In order for the blue color to melt in the water to become a proper dye, this white stone dust powder you see here is essential. The powder helps oxidation. Just a couple of times hand stirring and already the color has changed. It's most important to use an adequate and accurate amount of the powder. If there's too little, the color will not come out well. If there's too much, the color quality will suffer. Air is injected into the stone powder and water mix for oxidation. This act of whisking, using a rod and giving consistent pressure, is called tempering. The floral liquid gradually turns from yellowish brown to indigo blue.
이렇게 아주 수천 번의 당그러질 속에서 쪽색이 이렇게 피어나는 거죠. 소리를 들어보면은 탄산음료 사그라진 소리가 나요. 아주 청량한 소리. 이 소리 속에서 쪽빛이 이렇게 깨어나는 거죠.
Once you obtain the color you want, keep the liquid still for about half a day. This way, pigments heavier than water will sink. And that which sinks to the bottom is the very ingredient for the color indigo blue. This is how dark blue is made from nature. This is how the color comes to life. Indigo blue is the most representative color of hanbok. Of all natural dyes, it's the most complex and time-consuming to produce. Maybe this is why this particular blue is all the more valuable and all the more beloved by many people.
그 염색이 처음에 이렇게 하얀 철을 집어넣으면은 이 염료는 연두색 보여요. 그게 햇빛과 맞닿았을 때 하나의 산화가 돼서 쪽빛으로 이렇게 토해내는 이제 바로 이게 담그는 횟수에 따라서 아마 3번 정도 담그면은 뭐 하늘색, 한 4-5번은 파란색, 아마 10회 이상, 20회 가까이 했을 때는 그야말로 쪽빛을 우리가 감색이라는 까마귀 날개처럼 아주 검정색에 가까운 푸른색, 오로지 쪽에서만 나올 수 있는.
The dye is made through a long fermentation process. Therefore, everything that touches the skin, including the dye and cloth, are all from nature. This one-of-a-kind natural indigo blue, made through painstaking efforts, is also reflective of Korea's clear autumn sky. Traditional garments that feel ever so distant often become familiar if they appear in TV dramas or movies. A case in point is the recent hit TV series Love in the Moonlight. Hanbok worn by the male and female leads was praised for having further boosted the drama's appeal. Costume director Lee Jin-hee gave the traditional hanbok a makeover for the attire to better suit the genre of historical fantasy drama.
그 한복이 가진 어떤 선의 그 단아함, 이런 유니크함은 그대로 가지고 가고 그 색에서 현대화 시도를 굉장히 많이 한 작품이에요.
She says she wanted to demonstrate Oriental beauty through the unique lines and colors of hanbok.
한복은 사실 굉장히 본질에 가까운 옷이라고 생각해요. 그러니까 그 서양 옷들처럼 뭐 레이스나 프릴이나 이런 것들이 장식적으로 달리지 않고 왜곡도 없고 사실 과장성도 없어요. 굉장히 그 단순하고 본질의 어떤 형태에 가까운 옷이거든요. 기본적으로 그 선은 굉장히 이제 직선이랑 곡선에 아주 그 미학적으로 단아한 선을 가지고 있고 모던함과 현대적인 어떤 형태미도 굉장히 아름답다고 생각을 하거든요. 그런 것들이 한복이 가진 어떤 그 특징이고 매력이지 않을까.
The color of the sky and smooth lines trigger a sense of ease, comfort, and freedom, both to the body and mind. This is the foundation of hanbok's beauty, and why people around the world have also begun to take interest in the Korean traditional wear.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this and see what's behind.
Here is a young man who views hanbok from a new perspective. Shim Chang-yang loves art as well as hip-hop. Graffiti he drew during a 90-day stay in the United States drew particular attention from local Americans. To Americans, to see an African-American dressed in hanbok was odd and new.
그냥 제가 가는 곳마다 흑인 친구들이 있었고 그 친구들이 저의 그림을 보러 왔으니까 한국 사람으로서 그 사람들에게 한복을 선물해주고 싶다라는 생각으로 한복을 그렸어요. 한국 사람이 한복을 입으면 그냥 그건 한국이거든요, 한국. 근데 흑인이 입은 한복은 그냥 한국과 다른 나라에 약간 이렇게 연결되는 거라는 생각이 들어요.
Shim wanted to promote the fact that hanbok is not reserved only for Koreans, but for anyone around the world who wants to wear it. This young man's innocent wish may well be a starting point of globalizing hanbok to the world. We asked people who shared a common interest in hanbok, what can we do to make hanbok global apparel like jeans?
전통 한복에 몰두해서 완전한 자기 작품을 알아야 돼요. 전통 한복에서 숨은 그 여러 가지 창의력이 생겨서 그걸 보고서 12가 한 가지를 본다면 10몇 개를 만들 수 있어요. 아이디어를 찾을 수 있어요.
정확한 아이덴티티가 있어야 돼요. 그 다음에 좋은 퀄리티가 나와야 되고 물론 아름다워야 되고요. 예. 그 모든 거를 한복은 사실 다 가지고 있어요. 그게 어느 한 명의 디자이너의 힘이 아닌 우리 선조들이 계속 이어오면서 만들어놓은 형식 때문에.
Korea's dazzling costume, passed down from the ancient of days. Hanbok is truly a piece of art, birthed from the harmony of gentle lines and color. Hanbok represents the characteristic Korean spirit of putting people first and also being considerate of nature.